Hey guys, it is Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. Have a classic power metal song for you today. We're going to learn how to play Domination by Pantera. I've been getting to a lot more Pantera lately. Been kind of on a Pantera kick. And this is the one that I've seen requested a ton. So I'm doing this one now. Standard tuning. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. We're going to do the entire track, note for note. A lot of cool solos. And that ending section, come on. You gotta, well, I can't wait for that. Yeah, hold on. It comes at the end of the video, though. All right, so like I said, we're standard tuning. Before I get into it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I release a lot of videos like this. And if you ring the notification bell and you have YouTube notifications enabled to your phone, you'll be able to know whenever I release a new video, like immediately. So it's pretty cool. Please check out my Guitar Academy. It's at GuitarLessons365.com. Has all my guitar courses, guitar improvisation, ear training, guitar tone tutorials, technique courses, everything. So it's a lot of cool stuff there. So please go check it out. All right, so let's start here. Now there's got to be some challenging riffs in this, and some even more challenging riffs. So, but there's also some stuff where they just kind of lay back and just groove, so it's really fun. All right, so this opening riff to the track is the main riff, and also the chorus riff, and the most difficult riff to play by far. All right, so now it starts like this. All right, so it has a couple different rhythms that go on here. So that's the first half, it's the first rhythmic way that they're playing it. So it starts with two hits there on the low E string. And then you're gonna play the power chord at the 7th fret of the A, slide down to 5, and then back up to 7. So repeat that. So you do like 3 times. And the 4th time, you start with the 2 hits on the low E again. But now you grab the power chord off the 3rd fret of the low E, slide to the 5, and back down to 3. Then we start the riff over again. And so this 4th time through again, instead of this time though, instead of going 3-5-3, we have this, which is the picking 5th fret power chord, slap to 6, and then down to 3. So we have this all together. All right, so that is the first time. Now we're gonna have the same thing going on in the left hand now, but we're gonna change the right hand rhythm a little bit. So what's going on now? Have a down, up, down, quick little down, up, down on the low E string each time. So instead of this, you have this. So you have that quick, palm muted there, that down, up, down on the low E, and then everything else is the same. So you're gonna basically replace always this with this now. So. All right, so that is one time through the whole riff. So it's got that first rhythm way of playing it with just the 2 hits on the low E, and then the quick little 3-note burst on the low E, doing the same riff. And then at the beginning of the song, so this is the chorus riff too. The beginning of the song, they're gonna go back through and repeat everything again. So we go back to the 2-note riff. And then the 3-note version, and here's where they lead off and go down, back, head to the verse. So it looks like this. Takes us to the verse. All right, so that little ending there. So when I was getting to the 3-note version of the riff, the second time through, I did the 3-5-3 ending. From there, I just did this little slide riff up here, just twice. And then I moved to this little ending part for the riff. Now, when you play the chorus later on in the song, you're only going to see that section done once. It's not going to be repeated twice. So we just basically play through those riffs twice and then do this ending on it. The real chorus has that riff, which is the 2 notes on the low E string, one time through, and then the next time through the little 3 notes. That's one complete chorus, and then this same ending. Except when we get to the chorus, you'll see that the ending, this little part, they play that a little bit longer. So, but here in the intro only, when you go back to this ending, you can do that little slide riff twice, and then go to this. So that's the power chord. It's heavily palm muted. The 2nd fret off the A string, hit 3 times, then the 3rd fret, then the 4th. He starts moving up to the 5th, but it's more of just a slide that he does there. And then he goes into that verse riff. Now the verse riff kind of has like this transition thing that happens, which is kind of the same riff as the verse, but they kind of just do it one time on its own. It looks like this. All right, so this is pretty easy. This is when we're getting a lot easier for Pantera at least. So it's the low E power chord. So I'm just doing a down up on the low E string, muted. Then hit the power chord again. So do that a few times. And then we're gonna go through this series of power chords. So that is, I'll just show you the power chord before we do the rhythm first. It's gonna play the 2nd fret power chord, the B power chord off the A string, then the 1st fret, then the open A power chord. So this. Over to the G power chord off the 3rd fret of low E, and then 2, 1. So now the rhythm is you're gonna go down up on this power chord, heavily palm muted on that, and then the next one the same thing, and then the open A, but still down up, then the down up on the G. So this. And then we're just going to go one time for the each for the last 2. So, and then that takes us to the actual verse. All right, so it's that same riff there. You know, basically he doesn't do that little descending riff every time. So he just start with the vocals come in. It's just kind of repeat that. Like 7 times. Then the descending. Back. So after the 4th, when you go to repeat, after the 4th one there, you gotta let that ring and go. So a quick little down up on the low E and the 1st fret power chord of the A string. You're gonna do that twice, and then we're back to the riff. That little descending. All right, and that takes us to the pre-chorus. So it's pretty simple to kind of put it together, especially if I'm sure you know the sound of the song if you're trying to learn it. All right, so the pre-chorus looks like this. All right, so that starts with a power chord at the 3rd fret off the A string, over the 3rd fret on low E, Then he does the D power chord as an open D power chord, so not up here, kind of the open, so it's third fret on the B, second on the G, open D, and he gets the A note in there too, so the open A string in there too. And then we go to this. So that's like down, down, up, down. The 10th fret power chord there off the A string. Same rhythm on the low E. 8th fret power chord, and then back to the 10. So yeah. And then that same little descending riff. Now we start over, chords are slightly different here now. We go that same C power chord, the G, and instead of going to that D power chord, it goes down to the F power chord off the first fret of the low E. And then back up here, 10th fret, 8, and then it does that little rhythm again, and it hits that D power chord to take us back to this ending, which is just the low E power chord, 3rd fret power chord of the low E, then the open A power chord, and then 2, 3, 5. And that takes us to the chorus. So just to verify what's going on in the chorus here, we have the same riff. And then the 3-note version on the low E. And then here, when you're continuing the 3-note version, you have this. You're going to play this little. You're going to play that part 3 times now this time. So in the chorus, you're going to play that 3 times instead of twice, like an intro. And then we start with that same. So that same. The same little 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And that kind of slides down to an A power chord that ends the chorus. And then we go back into that same little transition. And then you're back into the second verse. So that verse, pre-chorus, and chorus are identical. So nothing new to learn here. We're going to skip over to the bridge. Now, I will say, coming out of the second chorus, though, when it gets down to the... There's a little kind of fill there, which is just the 3rd fret on the low E string bent up to that A note. And you can do that with a bar or your finger or whatever. All right, so then we get to the bridge. All right, so that takes us to the solo. But real quick, what we have here is we have this down, up, down on the low E string, and then you're going to play this E power chord off of, he doesn't play it here. He doesn't do it there, which would sound like he would, but he plays it down here. 2nd fret of the D, 4th fret of the G. So down, up, down, and then an upstroke on those 2 notes, the power chord here. And then a quick little down, up on the low E. Repeat that. All right, and then we go into this chords, the 10th fret power chord, the G power chord off the A string, then down 2 frets, and then the E power chord. Let that ring, then go back up to these 2 chords, and end it now with the D power chord. And then comes Dime's solo there, so I'm going to play through that real quick for you, and then I'll show you how to play it note by note. that part. Anyway, so we are going to go through this phrase by phrase here. Got some insane stuff going on there. So now we're going to start here with, on the recording, there's kind of a mixture of things going on there. There's some kind of like oblique bends going on up here, and then some, you know, kind of those patented Dimebag squealies. So I'm going to opt for those. I like those. So to kind of get close to what it is, so like I said, it's a layer of a bunch of stuff going on right at the beginning of the solo. You just kind of depress the bar there and do the harmonics off the 4th fret of the G and the B. Just kind of depress the bar, hit the harmonics, and bring it up. Obviously, Dime, he liked to play his bar back here and kind of depress it and then do it by kind of hammering on with it. I don't do it that way. It's too difficult. So kind of make that just those 2 strings, and that's a good little starter for the solo. And then we have this really cool lick. All right, so I'll play that a little bit slower, then we'll go through it. All right, so that's going to start with the 13th fret on the high E string, pull off to 12, and hammer back on to 13. So we have this. Then you're going to play the 16th fret on the high E string. So we have this. Then you're going to pick 13 and pull off to 12 and do that twice. Over to 15 on the B, back to the 12th fret on the high E. So we have this so far. Then do that lick you just did again, pulling off, picking 13 and pulling off to 12 twice. Over to 15 on the B, and back to that 12 on the high E. So it's basically that lick done twice. So we have this. Then what you're going to do is come over to the B string and pick 15, pull off 13, 12. Over to 14 on the G string. So we have this. Then you're going to pull off, pick 13 again on the B, pull off to 12. Over to 14 on the G. Back to that 12th fret on the B string, and then you're going to end it with the 13th fret there on the G. So through the whole lick here we have. All right, from there we have this. Pretty cool stuff there. So a lot of vibrato on this. So it's the 14th fret on the D. Shake the hell out of it. And then play 14, 15 on the A and the D. And then you're going to play 12 down to 11 on the low E. So we have this. All right, then we have one of Dime's patented legato licks, kind of symmetrical legato lick. Sounds something like this. All right, so this is chaos, but it's meant to be chaos, but it's chaos that's not very difficult to understand. I've got lessons. One of my Stealing from Legends lessons covers this type of thing, what Dimebag is doing here, where he's playing a symmetrical lick. So what he's got is he has a diminished fingering in his hand. So it's 2 minor thirds. It's a bit of a stretcher, but we have 12 on the low E, 15, and 18. So that makes up a diminished triad. And he basically takes those notes. We're going to be playing those same notes across every string. So get that underneath your fingers first, and then we'll actually talk about the patterns themselves. So just be able to play that 12, 15, 18 on every string. All right, so what is he doing pattern-wise? He has the same 2 patterns done twice to start it. Now what that is he picks the first note on the string, and it's going to hammer on. So he picks that 12, hammers on 15 and 18. Do that same thing now on the A string. And then you're going to start doing the same thing on the D, except when you pick 12, you're going to hammer 15, and when you hammer on 18, it's going to be back down on the 18th fret on the A string. So we have... All right, a little bit of a bummer. He threw a wrench on our plans there. All right, so when you get down to that A string, though, with that pinky, now you do the same exact lick you did now starting from the A string. So you can see I did that hammer 12 to 15 on G, and then that last note does not come down on the G string, it comes down on the D. So we have this. All right, so I would say work on those first. Those are probably the hardest parts of the solo. Then we have a pattern that goes straight across for 3 strings, which means we're on the D string, right? We're gonna start from the D and just hammer. We don't change any strings with the hammer, so it's just hammering 12, 15, 18 on both on the D, G, and the B. So all together. All right, now since we hammered there, now we're going to start the pattern on the G string. And he doesn't go all the way up this time. He starts with a 12, 15, 18 again, and then goes to the 12, 15, 18 on the B. But when you get to the top note there on the B string, pull back off, and then hammer back on. So we just basically, there's a 2-note pattern there. So far. Then take that same thing here over to 12, 15, 18 on the high E string, and you're going to hang out on this one for a few times. So just go up and down. Just go up to the top note and pull back off. So. It's just really cool when you put it together. All right, and then what he does here at the very end of it, he has an actual picking lick. He's going to jump up 3 frets. So that's what you'll see this kind of thing later too. So he's going to jump up to 15, 18, and it's going to be 21 on the high and with the pinky. But at first, we're going to start with 22. We're going to do a little bit bigger of a stretcher, and so you pick that top note a few times, and then pick 15, 18. So it's like that 22 a few times. And this is kind of this tremolo picked, so it's just not going to be like 1 note per. It's like the first one's going to be played like 5 or 6 times, and then the next couple a couple times each. So it's kind of like. All right. So after you've done that like 4 times, then you change the top note to the 21st fret. So it. All right, so that is. Then it goes into a bend there at the 22nd fret there on the high E string. All right, so that legato lick I think is probably the hardest. Well, it depends on if you're good at alternate picking or legato, whatever better. There is a very fast alternate picking thing coming up, but it's not as big of a stretch type of deal, so it's probably not going to be as difficult for most people. All right, so now we have the next section. Now there's a little underline. There's a harmony guitar part here. I'm going to play the part that he basically did live of the harmony, which is kind of a high harmony, and then the chords. This is some chords come in here, but I'm not going to worry about that. You guys can figure it out. It's just a couple power chords. I'm really working on this actual solo here, and Dime usually didn't have any kind of guitars underneath them anyway. So we have this. All right, so it's got a nice little melody to it. So it's a bend at the 22nd fret on the high E string. Again, release. And then we have this little phrase. So that's just 19, 20 on the high E string. To 22 on the B. Back to that, 19. So it is. Then 20, 22 on the B string. Then 19, 20 on the B. Then 21 on the G. So we have this. But then what we do is this. And that's just playing that 19, 20 on the B and then to 21 on the G twice. And then that last time just put a big bend there on that note on the G string. All right, then we have this cool little chromatic thing that happens. It looks like this. So that's 22, 21, 20, 19. So kind of a staccato-y thing. So, and then we're going to do this. We're going to pull off. We're going to pick 20 and pull off to 19. Then play 22 on the G string. Then back to that 19th fret there on the G. And then do the same lick 1 fret lower. And then that's sliding to 22 there on the B, then playing 19, 21 on the G. So. All right, next section we have a long melody, some long sustained notes, and then some a crazy fast alternate picking lick. That looks like this. Whatever, we'll do some harmonics too. All right, so we have the 10th fret there on the A string. And you can just bend it up or do it with your the bar. Bend up a whole step, release, play 9 on the A string, over to 7 on the low E. And then we start the alternate picking. Now this is the same lick done over and over again. It's a 6-note pattern. And what it is, we'll do the lick first. We're going to start here at the 10th fret on the low E string. So we're going to play 10, 12, 14. So you play those 3 notes twice. And that's it. That's the 6-note lick. Heavily palm muted too. A lot of people, when Dimebag plays, he usually will hammer on one of them, and then pick the last 3. So he does that a lot. So you can play it that way if you like. I like picking every note. I think it sounds really cool to really more aggressive. So you do it whatever way you feel comfortable playing, or you like the sound of the best. But make sure it's palm muted, and you really won't be able to tell too much of a difference. So now we just need to figure out where we're going to take that pattern at. So we're going to start it there, 10, 12, 14 on the low E. Then you're going to take it to the 9, 10, and 12 on the A string. So the exact same pattern, just with those 3 notes. Then to the 10, 12, 14 on the A string. So far we have this. Now I don't know if you noticed how I'm picking this. It's strict alternate picking. A lot of players would start with a downstroke here, so it'd be like down, up, down, up, down, up. My hands prefer to start this type of a pattern when it's ascending with an upstroke. What that does is it makes sure the last note of each 6 is a downstroke, which takes me in the direction of the next string that I'm going to start on. So that helps me when I'm going ascending. I don't have to do that inside the string picking. So little tip, you might like that more as well. So we have, after we get to that 10, 12, 14, then we're going to do the 10, 12, 14 on the D string. Then 11, 12, 14 on the G. And then 12, 13, 15 on the G. So kind of getting out of the key there. So we have this. So the great thing about playing things fast, you don't have to stay in the key. Nobody can tell anyway. So now we'll have 12, 13, 15 on the B string. That same pattern done there. Then this is where it changes one thing. It's the same pattern, except he moves it up a fret between the first and second half of it. So the first half of it is 14, 15, 17. That's the first 3 notes. And then the second 3 notes are going to just move that up 1 fret. So we have this. So that's the only one that you're not actually staying on just the same 3 notes playing that 6-note pattern. So we have this. All right, we're getting towards the end here. We're now 15, 17, 19 on the B string. That's played the normal way. Then the same 3 notes on the high E. Then 17, 19, 20. And you're going to end it with 19, 20, 22. Into a bend there at the 22nd fret. So the whole run. And up to speed. All right, and then he ends it with another one of those kind of patented squealy things. It's at about the 2.8th fret. So it's not very that crazy loud either. It's not like his big dramatic ones he does. But just around the G and the B string, just to hit the harmonic there, that kind of same way, depress the bar. And just the G and the B. And I'm saying like 2.8, so it's this first fret, second fret, and then kind of like, 2/3 of the way close towards the 3rd fret. It's one of Dime's favorite spots. All right, so now we will get to the probably the greatest moment in metal history, the breakdown for Domination. So there's a little harmony guitar part there. I'm going to show you both parts come up in a second because it's pretty repetitive, but I'll show you what kind of Dime actually does. So this starts out very easy, just grooves. This thing has the most incredible groove there, and then when he adds that guitar stuff on top of it, it's ridiculous. So E power chord, 1, 2, 3. So you have those 3 hits on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when you go to the next measure, those start on the upbeat. So it's the same da da da. It's the same feel. It's not the same feel because it's starting on the upbeat. But it's, so we have this 1, 2, 1. On the downbeat, then up. All right, so continue grooving out on that, and then we have this really cool solo stuff that comes in. And like I said, it's a harmony part. So the one that you're going to see him play live looks like this. All right, so that is very repetitive, so it's not hard to, memorize, but, get it up to speed, probably not the greatest thing in the world. Plus, it's got a huge stretch in it. So we're going to start with the 17th fret there on the high E, then 13, 12, and then back to 13. So that's the lick. It's a 4-note lick that's kind of repeated. And then what he does after playing like, what is that, 8 times? Yeah, after 8 times, then you just take this top note and move it down to 16. And just repeat. So what he's doing is he's harmonizing that up a minor third. So he's taking these exact same notes and move everything up 3 frets. So we have now 22, 16, 15. So you're going to hear this on the recording with it. And the same thing, just take it down a fret on the... But like I said, live he plays the lower one. So you go through that, that's 1 time 3 right there. You go through that 4 times, and what happens is the 4th time, when you get down to the one with the 16 as the top note, he starts taking that up. He basically just kind of, it's not that exact or precise, it's just kind of takes it up a fret at a time. Until he gets to the 22nd fret, kind of picks that and slides down. So as soon as the pinky gets to the 22nd fret, hit it, slide down, and then you get to the ending riff there, which is... So that's heavily palm muted, the 1st fret power chord. And then to that kind of riff that we did before. So we have this. And now on the repeat, there's a slight little variation thrown in there. So that last little hit is sliding 1 to 3 on the A string. The low E. So slide that power chord up and then back to the repeat. All right, so that ends. It's a great metal moment in metal music, that ending. I just love it, man. So it's crazy to think the year that they did that in. It's just it's pretty groundbreaking stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm loving getting to a lot of these Dime classics because, like I said, he was the greatest. All right, I'll see you guys again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.